Hello and welcome to Photojournalism 101. For today's lesson, we're using the mentor texts or the mentor photographs from Gordon Parks Photography. So the agenda, I'm going to go over what photojournalism is, analyze some mentor texts, which are really mentor photographs, and then what your photos should have when you're doing this, when you're exploring this genre by taking your own pictures. And the objectives are that students will understand the basics of photojournalism, students will produce photojournalism, students will explore the genre of photojournalism. And here is a Gordon Parks picture of Muhammad Ali in training in Miami Beach in 1966. So what is photojournalism? Photojournalism is a photographer can be a storyteller, images of experience captured on film, when put together like words, can weave tales of feeling and emotion as bold as literature. Photographers bring together fact and fiction, experience, imagination, and feelings in a visual dialogue that has enormous impact on how we observe and relate to the external world and our internal selves. This is a quote from Philip Brookman, who wrote the book Unlocked Doors, Gordon Parks at the Crossroads. And on the right, you see this is Gordon Parks, and this is his camera that he took a bunch of, or many of his photographs on. Basically, when you are thinking about photojournalism, you are telling stories through photographs. And these images capture experiences. And it's similar to literature in that there's the tone, the theme, a mood, and all of that kind of goes into these stories that are captured in photography. This is the first mentor picture, and it's Gordon Parks, A Family Says Grace Before the Evening Meal in June 1942. And the story that it tells is you obviously see a family. So we have these family values of having family dinner and faith, praying before serving food, saying grace. And it's a feeling that it evokes is sort of that comfort, silence, family, faith. And what's interesting is that aesthetically, you have a family, and notice that there's nobody's head is sort of to the back. Everybody's facing the photographer. So it's almost like we as the audience are part of the picture. And then there's this beautiful contrast between light and dark of the nighttime and the curtains and all of that. So this is the first mentor text, a mentor photograph. And the other thing that I like is that the baby is looking at the food, whereas everybody else who's older is, saying grace. This next picture is of a working, the storytelling is of a working man, or that's my perception of it. And Gordon Parks took this picture, and it's Johnny Lou, owner of the laundry under the apartment of Miss Ella Watson. And you can see all of these clothes right here, and then these packages of clothing. And then you see the owner, Johnny Lou, and he has, a cigarette in his mouth. He looks like he's kind of staring past the photographer. You see the time, you see the American flag, you see this sort of just like stacked up amount of laundry. And so it's sort of this serious feeling, this hardworking feeling, this sort of like American value of like really gritty work. And then we have this aesthetic, what's aesthetically pleasing is that there is all of this, all these packages, and it's sort of stacked up. And we see this man who looks like he's very sort of like lost in thought, contemplating while also working diligently. And it's just sort of, and he's smoking, which gives him kind of this like rougher feeling. This mentor picture is of dinner time at Mr. Hercule Brown's home in Somerville, Maine in February 1944. And what you'll notice about this picture is that it's a little chaotic. There's like a ton of food on the table. There's a ton of food in the background. There's a lot of people. It doesn't look like anyone is chatting a lot, but it does still evoke this sort of family dinner in New England story. And this feeling of unity and familiarity and family. And what's aesthetically interesting is like it is this sort of like very intimate feeling of this smaller table with a lot of people and this kind of busy back. So our last mentor picture is of Marva Trotter Lewis, and this picture was taken in 1941. And this is definitely the story that this tells is about fashion and personality. You know, she's got this beautiful dress on, she's got gloves on, she's got a belt, she's got pearls, she's got the bird oh my gosh, I can't think of what it's called. Oh, can you hear my daughter playing in the background? You have this beautiful hat, and then you have this woman who is clearly just strong and spirited, and she has this like sparkle in her eyes, and you can just tell that she is just a really bold person and has a lot of personality. And her like tiny little smirk and her eyes and just the way her face is angled is just really interesting to look at. And you have the light over here and then this long, beautiful shadow over here, which just really gives us sort of the depth into this person. And sort of there's so much to her. It just casts a long shadow. I just really love the symbolism here. So that's our last mentor photograph. Your photos should have, when you're taking pictures, try to have interesting subjects, timely about the current situation or just about our culture in general. They should be meaning and relevant to our culture or something, or your culture, or, it could be a micro or a macro culture, whatever you kind of want to shed light on. It should be objective and unbiased. The story should tell it itself. You don't want to necessarily put your own emotions into it. You want the audience to get the emotion from the picture. And so I'm going to leave you with this last picture, which is Gordon Parks' picture of Muhammad Ali's hands. And it's called Muhammad Ali Without Bravado. And you can just see the scars and the toughness of his hands. And it really zooms in on this boxer's hands, and it's a really powerful photo. So I hope you explore this genre. I hope that you take on this sort of time to play with photojournalism, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Have a great day, boys and girls.